So today we are reading Who is Nikola Tesla, chapter 4 to chapter 6. I hope you like it, like and subscribe. Let's get on to it. Chapter 4, School Days. Nikola, as always, worked tirelessly at Polytechnic Institute. On a typical day, he woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He didn't go to bed until 11 o'clock at night. 20 hours later, even then, he didn't go right to sleep, but read until he nodded off. Throughout his entire life, Nikola claimed he slept only about 2 or 3 hours a night. Nikola needed all those waking hours. In his first year at the university, he took 9 courses. 4 more than normal. He studied math, physics, botany, chemistry, and several languages. He never missed a lecture, got the highest grades possible in all of his classes, and even started a school club on Siberian culture. His teachers worried that he was going to overwork himself. One of his professors wrote to Milton back in Gospic saying, "Your son is a star of the first rank," but making it clear that Nikola was endangering his health by working too much and sleeping too little. In his second year at Polytechnic Institute, Nikola concentrated on engineering, limiting his classes to physics, mechanics, and math. Only his own time he studied machines such as dynamos, which produce energy with motors, which produce motion or power. Early in Nikola's second year, a machine arrived at the university from Paris. Nikola's professor demonstrated it to the class. The machine forced an electrical current to move in only one direction, called direct direction, DC. Nikola argued that it would be better to let the current flow back and forth because direct current loses more and more power the farther away it gets from its course. The back and forth current could keep its same level of power throughout the system. This was called alternating current, AC. It was nothing new, but no one had yet figured out how to make alternating currents power a motor. Nikola's professor devoted an entire lecture to why Nikola's theory could not work. Mr. Tesla will accomplish great things, but he certainly never will do this, he said, speaking about the superiority of DC. At first, Nikola figured he must be wrong because the professor had to know more about machines than he did. But the more he thought about it, the more he believed he was right. "I could not demonstrate my belief at that time," he said, "but it came through me through what I might call instinct." Once again, Nikola was smart enough to see things that others couldn't. Nikola began building complete machines in his mind. He imagined every knot, bolt, coil, and brush. "The images I saw were perfectly real," he said. He worked on his theory the rest of his second year at the university, but he could not make it work. He became frustrated. In his third year at Polytechnic Institute, Nikola stopped regularly attending his lectures. Then he dropped out of school. In 1879, Milton died at age 60. Nikola knew that his father had wanted him to finish school, but he needed to work to help support his mother. He decided that he wouldn't go back to school, and Nikola never earned a college degree. Chapter 5, Coming to America. Nikola immediately began looking for work. His uncle, Padre, told him about a friend in Budapest, Hungary. The friend, Uncle Padre said, was building a telephone exchange. In the early days of the telephone, callers were concerned to each other by an operator. The operator pushed electrical cords into slots on a board to make the connection. The machine was called a switchboard. A whole network of switchboards made up a telephone exchange. Nikola left for Budapest. When he arrived, he found out there was no telephone exchange. His uncle friend was still trying to build it. There was no job for Nikola. Instead, Nikola went to work for the local telegraph office. Eventually, the telephone exchange was built. Nikola worked as its chief engineer. He made many improvements to the company's equipment, even impressing the inventor of the machine himself. But Nikola was still more interested in figuring out how to perfect his alternating current theory. He imagined a world in which his AC invention powered machines in every factory and in every home. In the early 1880s, very few places had electricity. Not many people understood this mysterious current. It seemed like magic, or like something out of a science fiction book. Nikola could see a future in which alternating currents made electricity an everyday part of life. His AC motor would make that a reality, if he could just make it work. In February 1882, Nikola was walking in a park in Budapest with a friend. He was reciting poetry when he stopped in his tracks. "See my engine here," he exclaimed to my friend. "Watch me reverse it." His friend had no idea what Nikola was talking about. He meant that he could now imagine using magnets to reverse direction of an electrical current so that they could produce a turning force in a motor. Nikola excitedly began scratching in the dirt with a stick. He was drawing what had appeared in his mind, the plans of what would become a kind of alternating current motor called an induction motor. It could be done. Nikola had been right all along. His professor had been wrong. Nikola was very excited. For a while, I gave myself up entirely to the intense enjoyment of picturing machines, he said. Over the next 2 months, he imagined all the designs for an alternating current system, every nut and bolt for dynamos, motor transformers, and more. In April of the year, Nikola went to work for the Continental Edison in Paris. It was the French office of the Continental Edison Company, which had been created by the American inventor Thomas Alva Edison. One of Nikola's jobs was installing a lighting system at the Paris Opera House. He traveled to work on other lighting systems in Germany and France too. All of them were DC electrical systems, the only system in use at the time. In the spare time, Nikola finally built a model of the AC motor he had envisioned months earlier. It worked, just as he knew it would. However, he could not find anyone willing to invest the money. He needed to build an entire system. Not one, but Nikola seemed to realize how important it was. One of Nikola's bosses in Paris was sent by the company to work for Thomas Edison in New York. So he suggested that Nikola do the same. So Nikola made up plans to travel by boat to the United States. But shortly before leaving Paris, he was robbed of his money and lost most of his luggage. Nikola arrived in New York on June 6, 1884, with 4 cents in his pocket and a note of introduction from Pukas, a Hungarian inventor, to give to Thomas Edison. "I know 2 great men, and you are one of them," Pukas wrote to Edison. "The other is the young man." Thomas Edison hired Nikola to work at his Edison machine works and nicknamed him the Parisman. He was impressed by Nikola's dedication to his work. In fact, his long hours were matched like Edison's. Edison was famous for working around the clock, sometimes stopping only to nap in his clothes for a few hours right in his laboratory. One day, Edison was leaving the office at 5 o'clock in the morning after working all night. "Here is our Parisian running around at night," Edison joked, but Nikola wasn't running around. He had spent the entire night fixing the dynamos, the electricity generators Edison's company had installed on a board ship called the SS Origin. It was one of the first ships with an electrical lightning system. Edison was very impressed. Not long after, Edison gave Nikola the task of redesigning the company's direct current generators, the machine that actually produced all of their electricity. It was a huge job that involved designing more than 20 different machines. If Nikola could do it, he was told he would be paid a $50,000 bonus. Nikola worked from 10:30 in the morning until 5 o'clock the next morning every day for nearly a year. When he finally completed his work, Edison told Nikola that he had been kidding. Talk of the big bonus was all just a joke. You don't understand our American humor, Edison said. Nikola didn't find it very funny. He had worked day and night to redesign the generators. Nikola knew it was time to leave Edison Machine Works. Chapter 6. Fame and Fortune. The mid-1880s were an exciting time in New York City. Skyscrapers were being built. The Statue of Liberty arrived as a gift from France in 1885, and parts of Manhattan was being lit by Edison Electrical Illuminating Company of New York. It was a difficult time for Nikola. However, he was unemployed and broke. He was also alone. His family was halfway around the world. He needed to find a way to put food on the table. Nikola wondered if all his years studying science and mechanics, reading books, and endlessly working through problems in his mind had been a waste of time. Then Nikola got a chance to earn $2 per day digging ditches. It turned out to be his big break. The foreman on the job overheard Nikola about his AC motor. He said he knew a man who was an expert electrician. The man's name was Alfred Brown. When Mr. Brown met Nikola, he was impressed by Nikola's ideas on alternating currents. Together with a lawyer named Charles Beck, Brown and Tesla formed the Tesla Electric Company. They opened a laboratory in New York City in autumn 1886 and worked to develop patents on alternating current technology. A patent protects the inventors from someone else copying the idea. It creates an authentic record of the date, time, and place of each invention. The same year, the U.S. government granted Nikola his first patent in 1888. He presented his system of alternating current, motors, and transformers to the American Institute of Electrical Engineers at Columbia University in New York. As usual, he had a clear vision for the future of electricity before anyone else did. Nikola's patent ideas got the attention of George Westinghouse, the owner of the Westinghouse Electric Company. George was a direct competitor of Thomas Edison's. Nikola explained how his parents could beat Edison in the electrical business. Edison had brought electricity to parts of Manhattan in 1882, but most Americans were still more than 40 years away from having electricity. They still used gas lamps and candles to light their house. Direct current couldn't travel very far before losing power, so Edison's DC system required many power plants. Nikola's AC system could supply electricity to thousands of people with a single power plant. George Washington wanted to buy Nikola's alternating current patent. That gave him the right to use Nikola's ideas as if they were his own. Westinghouse offered a huge amount to the patient. Some reporters say Tesla received about $60,000 for nearly 30 patents. That's about $1.5 million in today's money. Nikola also was to receive payments called royalties every time the technology was used in a new system. Only a few days before his 32nd birthday in 1888, Nikola accepted Westinghouse's offer. Suddenly, he was a rich man. He sent money home to his mother and his sisters. He paid the men who had helped him set up the Tesla company. Nikola had enough left over to do what he really wanted: go back to his lab and work on his ideas. Nikola had been living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, trying to help the Westinghouse company make his technology work. But in 1889, he returned to New York. He opened a new laboratory on Grand Street and moved into the fancy Astor House Hotel in New York City. Nikola invited celebrities and scientists to watch demonstration of his experiments. He was quite a showman in the lab. He amazed his guests with a demonstration that looked like magic. In one, he held a glass tube in one hand and a wire consuring with alternating currents in the other. The current traveled across his body and into the tube, making it glow with a beautiful light. Nikola worked on many ideas in his New York lab, including something called the Tesla coil. The Tesla coil took a low voltage alternating current and built it up to a very high voltage current. Then they released that intense current through a spark that looked like lightning. The spark created an electrical field all around it. Nikola's amazing inventions was the key to his genius. It made him different from just about every other engineer. Most inventors build a model of a machine and tinker with it until it works. Nikola, however, first pictured the machine in his mind, down to the very smallest details and exact measurements. He mentally conducted a trial operation. He was even able to inspect the machine weeks later, simply by imagining any wear and tear. Only when he absolutely knew it could work did he actually build it. Much of the time, Nikola worked by himself, but he was not a loner. He not only invited people to his laboratory, he also entertained groups of important scientists at dinner parties. He had many friends who were not scientists too, including some of the most famous peoples of his time, such as writers Mark Twain and Rudyard Kipling and John Jacob Astor IV, the great-grandson of the man who built the Astor House. Nikola always dressed well at his parties. He insisted on wearing white gloves and a good suit. He believed a person needed to look successful to be successful. Women were very attracted to the blue-eyed genius who stood over 6 feet tall. Nikola never married, though. He didn't believe an inventor could devote enough attention to his work if he also had a wife. He once told a newspaper reporter that having a wife would take too much time and energy away from an inventor's duty. But then he added, "It's a pity too, for sometimes we feel so lonely." Thank you for watching. Who was Nikola Tesla? Chapter 4 to Chapter 7. I hope you like and subscribe. Thank you. The next video, I hope you like it.